You are surrounded by people, and you feel completely alone. You are in a room full of your friends, and you feel isolated. You are in a relationship, and you feel disconnected. You are at a party, and you feel like nobody really sees you. You are around people constantly, and yet you have never felt more lonely. And most people do not understand this. Most people think that loneliness is about being physically alone. Most people think that if you are around people, you should not feel lonely. Most people think that your loneliness means something is wrong with you. But something is not wrong with you. What is wrong is the connection. What is wrong is that you are not actually connected to the people around you. What is wrong is that you are surrounded by people who do not really see you. What is wrong is that you have learned to hide who you really are so completely that even when you are with people, you are still alone. The first reason you feel lonely even around others is that you are not actually yourself around people. You have learned to perform. You have learned to be who you think people want you to be. You have learned to hide your real thoughts and real feelings and real self. You have become so good at performing that nobody actually knows who you are. And because nobody knows who you are, because nobody sees your real self, you feel alone. Because the connection is not actually with you. The connection is with the version of you that you have constructed. The connection is with a lie. And you cannot feel connected to people through a lie. This is particularly true if you have learned early that your real self is not acceptable. If you have learned that your real thoughts and feelings and perspectives are wrong, if you have learned that people will not like you if you show them who you really are, you have learned to hide. And now, even when you are around people, you are still hiding. And hiding is lonely. Here is the part. Nobody tells you the loneliness you feel around other people is actually proof that the connection is not real. The loneliness is your indicator that what is happening is performance, not genuine connection. The loneliness is your sign that you are still alone because you are still hidden. The second reason you feel lonely even around others is that you are surrounded by people who are also performing. You are surrounded by people who are also hiding who they really are. You are surrounded by people who are also disconnected from themselves and from each other. You are surrounded by people who are also lonely. Most people spend their entire lives performing. Most people hide who they really are. Most people do not let anyone see their real thoughts and real feelings. Most people are terrified of being truly known. So most social interaction is just performance. Most conversation is just surface level. Most connection is just people playing roles. And when you are surrounded by people who are all performing, who are all hiding, who are all disconnected, you feel even more alone. Because everybody is isolated within their own performance. Everybody is locked inside their own mask. Nobody is actually reaching across and connecting with anybody else. So you are in a room full of people and everybody is alone. Everybody is performing. Everybody is disconnected. And the loneliness you feel is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who are not actually there. Being surrounded by masks instead of real humans. The third reason you feel lonely, even around others, is that you have learned that your needs do not matter. You have learned to not express what you actually need from people. You have learned to take care of other people's needs while ignoring your own. You have learned to be the person who listens but does not talk about themselves. You have learned to be the person who gives but does not receive. And because you have learned to not express your needs, because you have learned to not ask for what you need, people do not know what you need. They do not know how to connect with you because you have not told them. They do not know what matters to you because you have not shared it. They do not know who you are because you have not let them in. So even though you are around them, even though you are spending time with them, you are still not getting your needs met. You are still not being truly seen. You are still not being genuinely connected with. And that loneliness, that sense of not being understood, that sense of not having your needs met, that sits with you even when you are surrounded by people. The fourth reason you feel lonely even around others is that you have built walls so high that people cannot actually get close to you. You have learned to keep people at a distance. You have learned to not let people in. You have learned to protect yourself by not allowing real intimacy or real vulnerability or real connection. And walls that keep people out also keep you in. Walls that protect you from being hurt also keep you from being loved. Walls that keep you safe also keep you isolated. And the loneliness you feel is the loneliness of being trapped behind your own walls, surrounded by people who cannot get through. Here is the part nobody tells you. Sometimes the loneliest people are the people who are most protected, the people who have built the strongest walls, the people who let nobody in, because protection always comes at a cost, and the cost of protection is connection. The fifth reason you feel lonely even around others is that you are afraid that if people really knew you, they would not like you. So you keep your real self hidden. You keep your real thoughts hidden. You keep your real feelings hidden. You keep the parts of you that you think are unacceptable hidden. And because you are keeping yourself hidden, because you are constantly afraid that people will reject you if they see who you really are, you cannot relax around people. You cannot be yourself. You cannot be genuine. You have to be constantly on guard. You have to be constantly monitoring what you say and how you act and what you reveal. And this constant vigilance is exhausting. This constant fear is isolating. This constant hiding is lonely. Because nobody ever gets to see the real you. Nobody ever gets to know the real you. Nobody ever gets to love the real you. And that is the loneliest feeling in the world. The sixth reason you feel lonely even around others is that you do not actually know yourself. You have spent so much time being who you think other people want you to be that you do not know who you actually are. You have performed so much that the performance is all there is. You have become a stranger to yourself. And when you do not know yourself, when you have no solid sense of who you are, you cannot connect with other people, because connection requires knowing yourself. Connection requires being yourself. Connection requires having a sense of who you are so that you can share that with someone else. But you do not have that. You have spent your whole life being what other people needed you to be. You have spent your whole life performing. You have spent your whole life hiding. And now you do not know who you are underneath all of that. And that disconnection from yourself translates to disconnection from other people. So you are lonely. Because you do not know yourself. You are isolated because you have hidden yourself so completely that there is no self left to connect with. You are alone because you have made yourself disappear. Here is where most people get uncomfortable. This is not about being shy or introverted or bad at social skills. This is about the reality that most people feel lonely because they are not being real. Most people feel isolated because they are performing. Most people feel disconnected because they have disconnected from themselves. And most people do not want to admit this. Most people want to believe that their loneliness is external. That it is because they do not have enough friends, or because they have not found the right person, or because other people are not deep enough. Most people do not want to admit that their loneliness is internal, that it is because they have hidden themselves, that it is because they are performing, that it is because they have disconnected from themselves. So, what actually changes this? What actually makes you feel less lonely, even when you are around people? The first thing is that you have to start being yourself. Not all at once, not with everyone, but you have to start letting your real self show. You have to start expressing what you actually think instead of what you think people want to hear. You have to start expressing what you actually feel instead of what you think people want you to feel. You have to start being who you actually are instead of who you think you should be. This is terrifying, because if you show people who you really are, they might reject you. They might not like you. They might think you are weird or wrong or unacceptable. That is possible. But it is also possible that they will like you more. It is also possible that they will respect you more for being real. It is also possible that you will finally feel less alone because somebody finally knows the real you. The second thing is that you have to start expressing your needs. You have to start telling people what you actually need from them. You have to start asking for what you want. You have to start being willing to be vulnerable. You have to start being willing to let people care about you. The third thing is that you have to start lowering your walls. Not all the way, not immediately, but gradually. You have to start letting people get closer. You have to start trusting people more. You have to start allowing intimacy instead of running from it. The fourth thing is that you have to start getting to know yourself. You have to spend time alone and figure out who you actually are. You have to figure out what you actually think and feel and believe. You have to figure out what actually matters to you. You have to rebuild a sense of self that is not dependent on what other people want from you. The fifth thing is that you have to start seeking out people who are also real. People who are not performing. People who are not hiding. People who have the courage to be themselves. Because connection happens between real people. Connection does not happen between masks. Most people do not do any of these things. Most people would rather stay lonely than do the hard work of being real. Most people would rather keep performing than risk rejection. Most people would rather stay hidden than risk being seen. But you know now. You know that the loneliness you feel around other people is a sign that the connection is not real. You know that if you are surrounded by people and still feel alone, it is because you are not actually connecting. You know that the only way to feel less lonely is to be more real. So the question becomes, are you going to keep performing and keep feeling lonely? Or are you actually going to start being yourself and risk the vulnerability that comes with real connection? Because loneliness in the middle of a crowd is one of the worst kinds of loneliness. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people and still being completely alone. It is the loneliness of performing so well that nobody knows the real you. It is the loneliness of hiding so completely that you have lost yourself. But you do not have to live like this. You can start being real. You can start expressing who you are. You can start letting people see you. You can start feeling less alone, even if you never change the number of people around you. Because the loneliness was never about the number of people. It was about the authenticity of the connection. And the only way to have authentic connection is to be authentic. The only way to feel less lonely is to stop hiding. The only way to be truly seen is to show yourself.